Hey guys, today is the last thing we learn before our test. So today is law of cosines. And essentially what law of cosines is if I have at least two sides, three pieces of information, two of them sides, the last piece of information is either an angle or a side, I can find everything else that I need by using law of cosines. So it's a big, long equation. The key to this is one, you're going to have to memorize this equation. You're going to want to write it down as often as possible. The more we write it down, the easier it is to memorize it. The second thing is making sure we're labeling it correctly. So just like for law of sines, we had our big A, B, and C at our angles, and then our little a, B, and C across from those angles. So you see I have big A here and little a at the side that is across from it. Those are the keys. And then keep rewriting things. Don't try to combine too many steps. And it's not that difficult. Once you put everything in, it's basic math that we are just then rearranging. So let's try our first problem. For our first problem, it gives us law of cosines using side, angle, side. Now, they've given me the sides and the angle, and they've told me what they are. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to relabel everything with A, B, and C. Now, the key to it also is that I want A side or angle A to be where I have an angle already. So this is angle A. Then I can label everything else as B and C. Label our angles first. Then once I've done that, then I can label everything else as little a, little b, and little c. So again, key to it is angle A is always where the angle is they've given it to us. And then we can do A, B, and C. Because I have to memorize this, I'm going to rewrite it as A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. We're going to put all of that information in. So now, my equation is here, A squared. I don't have an A squared, so I'm literally writing A squared is equal to B squared here. I have B squared. I'm just filling the things in that I have plus C squared. That way I can do the math. Once I have all of that information, then I can do the math, and you already know how to do that. Minus 2 times B, which is 48, times C, which is 29, cosine of my angle A, 104. So you can see that I've put in what I have labeled as B, B squared, what I have labeled as C, and C squared, B and C, and the cosine of A. Then we're going to break these down little by little so that we can see what all of that answers are. So in my calculator, I'm going to put 48 squared, and that is 2304. And I'm going to put 29 squared is 841 minus, in my calculator, I'm multiplying 2 times 48 times 29. And I'm only doing that much because I want to be able to see what's happening. And then I did not do the cosine of 104. So the next step, I'm going to combine these two, and then I'm going to find what the cosine of 104 is. So that I have A squared is equal to 2304 plus 841. And I get 3145 minus 2784. I've just rewritten that. And now I have to find what the cosine of 104 is. When I put that into my calculator, I think that mine is in radian because I get a negative number. If you ever get a negative number, then you know you're in radian. You have to change the mode. So you're going to go to mode. You're going to go down and put it into degree. Push enter and you're all set. So cosine of 104 minus still a negative number, and that's okay, is negative 0.24. Cosine of a number larger than 90 is going to be negative. Now, I know I'm walking through it slowly, but it's easy to get lost in the math if we don't do it this way. That I have a squared is equal to 3145. Negative times negative is going to be a positive. I'm going to multiply negative 0.24 times 2784. And I get a positive 668.16. So I'm going to add those two numbers together, 3145 plus 668.16. And I get that a squared is equal to 3813.16. Then I have to take the square root of that. And when I put that into my calculator, easy way to do this is, remember, square root is the blue above my squared sign. So I push the blue button. And then notice there's an answer sign right here. I'm going to push second answer. Answer is in blue. Push second answer. That's what it looks like. Push enter. I get 61.75. Now we're going to do a couple of quick checks. First, we are going to check and make sure that because A is an obtuse angle, it has to be our largest side across from it. So we're going to make sure that A, little a, is larger than B and C, and it is. So that means we did it correctly. That is our answer. You are going to work on B. I'm going to do it and show you the answer, but you're going to work on B on your own and then check your answer against mine. So here's the answer for B. I labeled everything A, B, and C, but my sides across from it, A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus A and 2BC times cosine of A. Did all of that math to find out that my side is equal to 6.39, which should make sense because 40 has to be one of the smallest, if not the smallest side or angle, and 6.39 is the smallest angle or smallest side. We are going to move on to the next one. Here, we're given three sides. We're still going to fill everything in as A, B, and C. And our sides is A, B, and C, and then go from there. So it's asking me to find T, which means that I am going to make this my big A. And the reason I'm doing that is because instead of having to memorize 3 of these, I'm only having to memorize 1. As long as I always put that the angle that I either need or have is my large A, I only have to memorize 1 equation. If I don't do that, I have to memorize all 3 equations. So since I need angle T, I have made that my large A, my angle that I need, and then I can fill everything else in. So we're going to remember that A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. Again, we're going to, oops, and I forgot to put my sides. Little a is across from big A, little b is across from big B, and little c is across from big C. Now I'm going to fill everything else in. So I'm going to put that I have 7.1 squared is equal to B squared, which is 4.4 squared, plus C squared, which is 6.7 squared, minus 2B, 4.4, C, 6.7 cosine of A. Now, hopefully you can see where everything came from. I have A, B, C, B, and C, and I'm looking for cosine A. Let's simplify this a lot before we start to do anything else. 7.1 squared. I'm going to put that into my calculator. And I get 50.41. 4.4 squared is 19.36. 6.7 squared is 44.89. Minus, and I'm going to put all of this in 2 times 4.4 times 6.7. And I get 58.96 cosine of A. Now, here's what we need to know. We are going to treat this cosine of A like it's an X here. So we are going to move everything over to the other side of the equation before I can solve for cosine of A. What that means is that I can only add and subtract these. I can't do anything with this because it's being multiplied by cosine A. So I'm going to do 50 minus 19.36 minus 44.89. On both sides. Okay, so in my calculator, I'm putting 50.41 minus 19.36 minus 44.89. And I get negative 13.84. Don't be afraid of negative numbers. So I here, this entire thing is equal to negative 13.84 is equal to a negative 58.96 cosine A. So hopefully you can see what I did. This dark purple was subtracted from both sides. Here it was subtracted, and here, remember, I can't do something to one side without doing it to the other. When I did that subtraction, I get 13.84, and I keep this side. Now, again, we're still treating cosine of A like X, where we're going to now divide by negative 58.496. And when I do that, I end up saying, these cancel, saying cosine of A is equal to 0.23. Now, once I have cosine of A, or once I'm looking for cosine of A, remember, I can't take the cosine of a letter. So I have to take the inverse cosine, cosine negative 1. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. These cancel so that I have A is equal to cosine negative 1 of 0.23. And then I'm going to put that into my calculator. And I get that A is equal to 76.7. You're going to try this on your own. Right now we have, here's the answers. So check your answer against mine. A, big A is 86.1 degrees. Check your answers against mine. Make sure that you got the same answer as me. Then we are on to a story problem. You and a friend hike due west. So we're hiking due west on this triangle, 1.4 miles from a campsite. Here's our campsite. At the same time, two other friends hike 1.9 miles, heading 11 degrees west of south. So they are hiking 1.9 miles here. To the nearest tenth of a mile, how far apart are the two groups? So I need to find this. I'm only given two pieces of information technically, but they give me a third where this angle is 11 degrees. So this 90 degrees is west and south. West and south are 90 degrees. So this angle right here is going to be 90 minus 11 or 79 degrees. We know that because west and south have to be 90 degrees and they're traveling 11 degrees west of south. So that's 79 degrees. So now I'm given three pieces of information. I need to find a side. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to label everything large A, B, and C. And I'm always putting A wherever my angle is or the angle I need. Then I am going to use the letters across from it, small a, small b, and small c for my sides. I'm going to remember that my equation is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. And now we're going to fill in all of the information we already have. We don't know a squared. So a squared is equal to b squared, which I have as 1.4, plus c squared is 1.9, minus 2 times b, c cosine of 79. Then we are going to find all of this information. 1.4 squared is 1.96. 1.9 squared is 3.61. Minus, I'm going to multiply 2 times 1.4 times 1.9. And I get 5.32 cosine of 79 equals a squared. Simplify it one step at a time. So 1.96 plus 3.61 is 5.57 minus, and I'm going to put my 5.32, whatever cosine of 79 is. And I get 0.19. And that's all equal to a squared. Then I'm going to multiply 5.32 times 0.19. And I get 1.01. So I have a squared is equal to 5.57 minus 1.01. I'm going to do that math. 5.57 minus 1.01. And I get 4.56. So I have a squared is equal to 4.56. Take the square root of that. And I get 2.14. I had to round. And that's in miles. So the groups are 2.14 miles away from each other, even though they started at the same spot, and neither one of them walked that far. You are going to do the extra examples on your own, and then you're going to check your answers against mine to make sure that you understand what you're doing. I have given you 2 worksheets that they are law of sines and law of cosines combined. So you have to figure out which one you can use, law of sines or law of cosines, to be able to solve. Ms. Schultes has the answer key, so make sure that you check your answers in case you need any help. So here are the answers for the extra problems. I have not only given you the answers to the extra problems, but I have also shown you my work, what I've done, how I've done it. So check your answers against mine. Once you have the same answers as me, then you can start working on your homework. If you don't have the same answers as me, please make sure that you check with a shoulder partner or someone else to verify your answers. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.